Cool. Then, so Adventures with Dunning-Kruger is what we're going to call the weekend. So, come on then, tell us about your journey through the Dunning-Kruger curve of experience.
Um, I think the funny thing is, I think I'm long past Mount Stupid, but apparently not. Or I thought I was long past Mount Stupid and on my way to the plateau of competence or whatever it's called, but
Yeah.
I think they've skipped they've I'm past Mount Stupid, but I think they're still peak stupid. I'd actually I'd change the model a little bit, but
Well,
no,
I mean, it is always the case. Like if ever whenever you go up a mountain, the phenomenon of false summits has crushed many a hill walker's spirit. You think, oh right, so we're there now, and you only to crest the next rise and realize you're nowhere near. There's actually more Mount Stupid to come.
yeah.
That's-
I was most definitely in the Valley of Despair by the end of the day. And I was maybe even deeper into the Valley of Despair by about 10 a.m. on Sunday morning when I was back on the floor again. But no, it's just one hell of a weekend, I think. It was a 101 of how not to race gravel, crashing twice. Um, so much so I kind of threw my toys out of the pram on day two and just rode home because I was like, "Oh, I don't need that. I'm just going to shower, go home, have a coffee with Maggie, and then try again. I don't need to keep crashing. Um,
And
so
I mean, what's like what I'm thinking about is that so our call we had a call last week and we talked about expectations, outcome, performance, and at no point like we could we talked about two scenarios. One that you find out that you're going like really well, and that little voice will start saying, "Well, let's push super hard and go for it," or we'll find out that yeah, I'm in good nick. Like, I never intended to win this race, so it's gone quite well. So, what was not part of the considerations was like crashing twice, and yeah, sort of picking your bike up and then just riding home and saying stuff it. Um,
yeah, and I
yeah,
think there was many lessons, and as John alluded to, so most lessons I give other people as well, but seem to ignore myself. And I suppose you're always best at ignoring your own advice, aren't
of
you?
course.
Um, but no, never try new equipment on race day. I didn't just try one piece of new equipment, I tried every single thing on my bike, which was new. So I just dialed in my tires. I'm on the same tire sponsor this year, but I changed them for a brand new pair, so they look nice on my new bike. Bit stupid. Uh, what else? Oh, my brakes. I've gone from SRAM to Shimano. They have a very slightly different biting point, as I found out when I was lying on the floor, having pulling a little bit too much of my front brake. Um, just plenty of lessons learned, but I was on cloud nine on Friday evening. Took the bike out for a quick ride. Everything was going well, descended better than I ever have done in my life, and go, oh, and kind of, and the dog's here. And then about 5K into stage one, I was not the dogs, I was on the floor. So,
And when you say everything was new, in particular, the group set was new and shiny,
it was.
and now it's not.
Now it's quite scratched. It's lighter. I felt so bad to be perfectly honest, because obviously getting all the equipment doesn't just involve, well, it's from like August onwards, speaking to partners, getting it shipped, getting it here in time, having the local mechanic build it up in record time, so it's with me for race day. And then I just deck it within like, I don't know, 40 kilometers of its lifespan. And I was like, oh no, I felt so guilty. And I was like, okay, they want it, fine. Took it to the bike shop. They was like, oh, you're back again. Fixed it up. And I actually got away with it quite luckily on day one. So I decided to go do it on day two as well. And then I didn't get away with it and scratched everything to pieces. So much so I left a couple of voice notes to say my equipment partners and was like, I'm so sorry for crashing. Like I feel like such a doofus and such a this and all this brand new shiny equipment you just given me is now well, it's still brand new, but it's not shiny. Uh,
It's not been a
and
buff out.
luckily they all said, well, that's how you know you found the limits. You've pushed them a little bit too far and like everyone was fine, obviously, but I just felt like such a I don't know, such an idiot.
And
Yeah.
then there's a
Well,
long pause to just let Joe sit in that feeling.
Like, and
Nobody's
even
bailing you out, Joe.
my brain
um,
even white bar tape, which I chose to run white bar tape because it looks nice on a gravel bike. Nobody runs white bar tape on gravel because it gets dirty. And I was like, no, I'm running white bar tape. It looks pretty. About say 15 minutes into the race, it was no longer white. It was black with gravel as I'd scraped it across the floor. So yeah,
and kind of just to add insult to injury,
Like,
you'd flown somebody out to capture the weekend as well, hadn't you?
yeah, it was. Well, I'm doing gravel correctly at least. Like if I'm gonna crash, at least make sure somebody's got it on video. Um,
So
but
did he actually get the video,
so
the crash on video?
I've got my crash on video. There's like a camera in front of my bike, so you just see me. Oh, this is day one actually. I In day one, all that happened. It's quite simple. Um, I just slipped off the handlebar. There was like a rut in the road, kind of like a almost a pothole, and I just hit it, slipped off, kind of crashed. Not kind of crashed. I did crash. Day two was just pushing too hard, trying to follow someone down a descent, and I slid out. But no, day one is you've got on video of me going, oh, slow it, slow it, slow it, and then just tumbling over. Uh, so no, in hindsight, it couldn't really have gone worse. I said before it was a win-win, the race, and I think I found out I'm the only person to make it a lose-lose. But I mean, ever the optimist. Some people broke their bones, some people snapped their bikes, some people got really badly sick. So yeah, there are positives to take away, but I'm scraping the barrel to find these positives.
Yeah. I mean, you're all right. I mean, you're not, apart from a bit of gravel rash, you're not
I've got a bit of it.
banged up. Yeah,
I'm fine. It's my ego though. Oh, Nick, my ego, that's low.
yeah. Uh, yeah. Well, it's good. Yeah, good time for it to happen, I guess. Like, how many times did you crash last season?
Twice.
Well, you go. So you've got that out of the way now. It's like playing golf. It's like, just get your bad shots out of the way early, and then you should be good for the rest of the season now.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, I purposely choose races which aren't crazy descents, because that's not my strength. And there's only one more race with descents which are similar to that. But no, I was pulling alarm bells after the crash on Sunday less. So Sunday I just got fed up and rode home. Saturday I was pulling alarm bells. I was like, oh no, season's about to explode. Everything's bad. And for about 45 minutes afterwards, I was an angry man. And then by the finish line, I was like, oh, it doesn't really matter. People crash in races all the time.
Yeah.
February, it is what it is. It's happened now. But it's funny, like immediately after I was ready to take on the world and like fight everyone. And then 2 hours later, I was like, oh, it's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, great. Otherwise, you're happy with like equipment and everything.
Oh, equipment's amazing. I just need to stop crashing it. Like, honestly, I'm on easily the best package I've ever ridden in my career. It just feels like you're driving nippy, like a nippy sports car or like a nippy little Subaru. It just has it does what you want it to do, which is a little bit strange because I'm used to having to fight the bike a little bit off-road. Whereas this, it goes exactly what you want it to. And I'm like, whoa, even that is, it takes a little bit of time to get used to, especially in corners.
Yeah.
But ironically, just before I crashed on day two, was the most confident I've ever been descending in a race. And I remember quite exactly where I was when I go, oh, it's so nice to be on the front foot on a descent and not on the back foot. Like we was chasing on in group two for the lead. I was like, oh, we're dropping everyone. This is great. And then on the floor. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like the
Well,
there's definitely positives in there, right?
if we
Yeah.
dig
it's
deep,
making.
positives.
I'm just thinking, it is making me think. Just like translating to our world, especially my world at the moment. Um, it feels a little bit like, you said you've been working on it since August, and we work on stuff for weeks or months. Like doing a pitching fundraising or pitching to a big customer, and I've definitely been there in the past where you've been dwelling on it for the last 3 months, and all of a sudden in the lift on the way up to the meeting room, it comes together in your head. You could just suddenly have this amazing idea. You change the pitch completely, and not once has that ever worked out well for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like stick with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I was trying to think again in like non-sporting worlds. It's almost like you're showing a new prototype product and you turn up on the day and it just doesn't work, and you're like, oh, well, that was silly. Um, but yeah, you should never try something new on race day, on pitch day, on launch day, and I say let that be a lesson. There's going to be an inevitability at some point. I will probably do it again, but I won't do new tires, new brakes, new frame, new handlebars, new position, new bike geometry. Um, yeah, a recipe for disaster, but
Yeah.
you live and learn.
But the intention, like the intention behind that event was a shakeout event, right? So
So I
it
did
was
shake it out.
legitimate to yeah, shake up. It was legitimate to do that, and you learn loads of stuff from it, which is cool. So like,
I think kind of the only thing that added insult to injury is Envy were really good, and because the bike only arrived on Friday afternoon, oh, like really, I got onto it Friday afternoon. It was like, oh, worst comes to worst, you can ride last year's race bike. Completely fine, we get it. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I was like, no, guys, I'm rocking this. Like, the most comfortable I've ever felt. I feel amazing. Um, so yeah, to almost add insult to injury, that even said, oh, just in case you can ride last year's stuff just for this one day, which is quite bizarre. I've never had a sponsor do that. So very nice of them. And then I kind of go over exuberantly, no, I'm happy, and then I crash. So
I suppose my overall thought is like if you took your ego out of it, and by that I mean like you're not in Girona, you're not going to see anybody at the coffee shop. Um, if your ego is completely removed, then the crashes are completely irrelevant. It's like, in fact, well, they were necessary. Like, well, it's a shakeout event. I want to find out where the limits are. I've got a load of new stuff. I need to learn, not win. Um, and so it's like 100% success. It doesn't feel that way because your ego's involved, and it's like, man, my home race in front of like all of my peers, I end up on the floor twice. I just look a bit of a dick. Well, if you remove that, then it's like full marks for the weekend. Like you learned loads about everything that was new. So
I think the only good thing is I learned an awful lot more than if I'd have like finished third or fourth. If I'd
yeah,
have finished third or fourth, I'm like, oh, mega happy days, I'm good, aren't I? Um, and say this race was about learning, wasn't about just showing the world how good I am. So I suppose that is, if we dig deep enough, a good thing. But no, there's no cloud in my brain. It was a bit of a failure this weekend, but at least I suppose it's only a failure if you don't learn anything in a
yeah,
comp.
exactly. Exactly my point. I don't think so. For me, I don't think you have to dig too deep. I think there's like the thin sort of layer of ego that needs to be scraped off your experience. And as soon as you do that, you don't have to dig deep at all. It's like, wow, this actually ticked all the boxes. We learned tons, and that was the objective. So
Yeah, and it was kind of it was funny. Everyone was being very serious and debriefing their races, and I was like, well, I'm just the class clown, aren't I, this weekend? So it was yeah, I suppose almost a self-depreciating humor, which I'm very good at. But I was chatting to someone last night, and it's like if I could drop any race from 2025 and say this one doesn't matter, I need to finish dead last, just one, it would have been this weekend.
yeah.
So it's not the end of the world. Or another analogy, as I said to John the other day, it's like I've been pumped 4-0 in a preseason friendly, and then pulling alarm bells. But
Really not that relevant.
yeah, as John said, if it's we've still got issues by Christmas, then maybe we change the manager. But hopefully it all comes good by game one.
Yeah, yeah,
Talking
indeed.
of which, what is game one?
Game one is in 3 weeks' time in Oklahoma, Mid-South Gravel. I was 11th or 12th there last year. Um, equally, I say I still don't want to be amazing at it. It's there's a single track 10K to go, which isn't my strength, but I want to be racing for the win. But I don't want to be cockily arrogant there. But then I fly to the States next week, which is quite overwhelming. I pulled up my calendar at lunch yesterday to go, oh, I went, what's my training like? And I went, oh crap, I fly to the US next Thursday. That's crept up on me. So, so yeah, it's stateside in 8 days.
And how long have you got in the US before the race?
About 2.5 weeks.
Right, nice.
I go over first for like a media training product camp with Envy,
Right.
bit of training in Salt Lake, which would be freezing cold, and then into Oklahoma. So it's not it's quite nice. I've got more time front end this time
Yeah.
to get over jet lag and stuff, but no, it's nice going back to a race, you know.
Yeah. Awesome. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's funny. All year you kind of preparing for it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're here. Let's go.
It's on you. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, we'll see you again. Probably the next time we'll be in the States. Catch up maybe before Mid South.
Yep. Try and
Yeah.
figure. I'll try and
What's
figure.
the one little superstitious thing that you are not going to do before Mid-South Gravel that you did at the weekend? I don't mean the new stuff. I mean like,
I'm trying to think.
oh, just put something in his head now.
What did I do?
I
I,
would want to be like I would have to pin my fortunes on, which is like from a performance psychology point of view, is probably insane. I think, oh right, I'm not going to wear those socks again. Those damn socks. So it's like, but it might be a tool that allows you to just package off the misfortune of the weekend and say, well, okay, so actually I can move on now. It's those bloody socks. So I won't use them in Mid-South Gravel. We're
I
all
do
good.
shave my legs as well. That maybe that's why I crashed because it wasn't officially race season because the legs weren't shaved yet.
Ah,
Oh,
there you
right.
go. There you go. That's it. We found it.
Done it. Mega. Never gonna crash again.
Brilliant. All right. Well, listen, safe travels, Joe, and
Thank
can't
you.
wait to catch up in the US.
Thank you guys. We'll speak to you soon.
Yep.
Awesome.
Take care.